Hey everybody, welcome back to another repair video on my 2011 Volvo XC70. I like to make these videos for you guys because the rear suspension seems to be pretty different than a lot of Volvos from this era on these cars. So today we're doing sway bar links. Already done one side, they got the old one out. These are a little different than typical sway bar links where you've got, you know, a ball joint on the bottom and the top. They're kind of hard mounted up top with some rubber bushings on them and then just one on the bottom. So obviously my old one wiggles around a lot, not good. And I just picked up a new cheap one. Obviously it's a lot harder to move, so once we get everything in there, should stop my back from swaying a bit, and hopefully we get the squeak to go away. So here we go. Today's video is actually sponsored by my wallet. I went and purchased these items myself, and yeah, I'd really appreciate it if you could like the video or subscribe or comment or something. Help me out as I try to start making some more repair videos. Everything I do is DIY and self-taught, so if you're triggered about the way I do something, go ahead and let me know. Okay, so step one here is going to be taking off your wheel and tire, getting your car jacked up. And step two, since I live in Michigan, we're going to hit, there's 2 bolts, so it's pretty easy repair. And we do this with the wheel and tire off. Let's take some load off the suspension. There's 1 bolt up here and another one down here. Top is a 13 millimeter, bottom is a 15 millimeter, and like most sway bar links, you're going to need a hex drive to hold the bottom one still while you loosen the nut with a wrench. So here we go. Let that soak in there for a little bit. All right, now that that's done, we're going to loosen the top one. And it should be somewhat loose since it's just rubber holding it in. Yep, there you go. Really don't have to push super hard at all, so keep that in mind when you're retightening everything. And you do not need the hex for this one. Can't use my socket set yet because the bolt sticks out too far, so we'll get there. Okay, we've just about got to the end here. I'm going to try to get this off in focus. This is the fun part. We'll try to go from this side. Because at the end here, everything's under tension, so it should just pop off. There you go. So we got the top off, now we're going to get the bottom. Alright, for the bottom, unfortunately you have to do this with a wrench and a hex, so it takes a little while, but you just shove this in the end here. A little bit rusty, so it's not fitting perfectly. There we go. And then slide the wrench over top, or whichever way works for you. There we go. Okay, so we cracked that loose. I'll get that off and then show you the next part. Just using some brake cleaner to clean off everything because we're working with rubber bushings, and yeah, we just want them to stay good. And that oil is not very good for them. Okay, so when you get your new one, if you get an OEM one, it's going to look like this. And obviously you should take off the nut on the bottom and the top. There you go. And now we are ready to put it back in. And this is where I find it helpful to have a pretty big pry bar. So what I've found is it's helpful to get the bottom one in first because it's hard to get that to line up. All right, well, this side was way easier, but for that part at least. Now the fun part comes when you try to put the bushings back on the top. So I'll put my 15 mil, the new one, on the bottom. We'll just get that on, hold that in place. Now the top one is hard since you're gonna have to shove it on and shove the actual sway bar itself down, and then also somehow thread your nut on there. So this is where I like to use the big pry bar, and I just find a good spot under the spring, and we push down. Try to get the top on. There we go. And we got some threads on there. Okay. So that's probably the hardest part of this whole thing, is having to push down on the actual sway bar itself. But once you've got that on, go ahead and get everything fairly snug, and then retighten everything again once your car is on the ground, and you should be good to go. So that's how we put the new ones on. I'll just tighten it up and show you what it looks like when it's all good to go. Okay, as you can see under here, it gets pretty snug once you got your wheel back on. So I try to tighten that one up actually a lot before I put it back on, and then just make sure you snug down the top with that 13 millimeter. Because even with a shorter hex tool, it can be kind of difficult to get in there and have your wrench in there and everything. So sorry, the construction noise, my neighbors are doing something. But yeah, here's this side and that side, all new. And you know, for a Michigan car, she's not too rusty under here.